Hello, how are you? Thank you so much for joining me today.
Terry, it's a delight to be here with you. Anytime I can spend time with you, thumbs up.
Thank you. Thank you. It's really an honor. And, you recently had me on your podcast, and you
Yes.
just are a master at asking great questions. And please tell the audience a little bit about yourself and what you do and who you are.
Well,
Yes.
because I'm 67, there's no short answer to that. Okay.
Okay. And that's okay. But we want to know a little bit about you.
For 35 years, I was the founder and CEO of Culinary Crafts, Catering, and Special Events. And that kind of consumed my life. It was my family life, not only my professional life, but all of my family worked in there with me. 2 years ago, I sold the company to my children, and they're now running it, trying to survive COVID.
Oh, yeah.
I-
Wow.
Because I had built it so that we were doing those giant big events and fancy things, and now there are this many of those. Oh well. But
Yes.
it's all about pivoting and learning, and the same lessons that saw me through my 35 years there are now seeing them through that.
Oh, isn't that amazing?
And then
Amazing.
I needed a new reason to put my feet on the ground in the morning.
Yes.
And so I launched a new company called Mary Crafts Inc. And I get to do speaking, which is not much of anymore because the conferences are all gone.
Yes. Pivot again. Yes.
Finishing my book, my first book, Unbounded, From Sorrow to Summit.
Oh,
And
wonderful.
I do a weekly podcast, Crafting a Meaningful Life. And then I have a channel on Marco Polo where it's called Fit and Fabulous After 50. And since I'm way past 50, I know a little bit about that.
I had no idea.
Then getting to be guests on places like you and sharing life and inspiring, because my mission now clearly is very distinct for me. And that's
Yes.
how I know what I say yes to and what I don't. My
Love
mission
that.
is to empower myself and others to live a fearless life and to follow their inner light within, or what I call their inner badass.
What a beautiful mission. And you are giving back to so many people by what you're doing. And that's why I wanted to have you as a guest, because people out there really need to understand that they can be a badass. And what does that take? And how do they go inward? How do they find it within themselves? So the question I want to ask, since you obviously have done a lot of work and know this, and that's why you're sharing so much with others, is do you see yourself as courageous?
Do I see myself as
Courageous.
courageous? I do. And that wasn't something that was ever a word I used to describe myself until really post 50. And at this age of life, to really begin to zero in on what my fears were and one by one tackle them. And now there isn't much I wouldn't do. When I think about this world we live in right now, and everyone's kind of afraid,
Mm-hmm.
and they use excuses like, it's crazy. Yeah, you're a victim if it's crazy. But if it's too challenging, how do you handle a challenge?
Mm.
You face your fears, you have courage, you move forward, you pivot, you do whatever is needed to find that next step for you.
Wow, that is so powerful. So what I'm hearing from you is you face whatever is in front of you, and
One step at a time.
one step at a time. So your fearless living is just facing the fear that's
Right.
in front of you, and see that there's a possibility of an opportunity from facing it.
Right.
And that seems like that happened. What was the defining moment for you after 50? Was there a moment that you said, I'm just
Certainly
gonna,
was,
what was it?
Terry.
Yeah.
I got the photos back from my 50th birthday party. And this is back when you had to go and get them at Kmart, you know.
And Kmart doesn't even exist anymore, unfortunately.
You didn't
I
have
love Kmart. Yeah.
an iPhone or any phone for that matter,
Yes.
unless it was one of these that you lugged around like this, you know.
Yes.
And I looked at those photos and I thought, who is this woman? I never thought this is who I would be. And worse yet, I didn't know how to get away from her. I was 284 pounds and very sad inside, afraid of every single thing. Every decision I made in my life, I realized, was based on fear. Well, I'm afraid this is going to happen, so I'm going to do this. Even I was a successful caterer. I was already 20 years in business, already received best of state many times. And yet inside I found myself like, well, I need to do this and make sure this is perfect because I'm afraid of what they'll say if it's not perfect. Not because I want to be of service, not because I love what I do, because I'm afraid of the consequences if I'm not perfect. And those are just small things. I never participated in any sports because I was afraid of failing. And so when I finally put on my first pair of hiking boots and ventured outside into the nature, into the wild outside, I realized, wow, hiking is just walking outdoors. No one told me.
No, all these years.
Of course, last year I climbed Kilimanjaro.
You did?
And I did.
That is a huge accomplishment. Congratulations.
Yeah. So it's one step at a time, looking and recognizing those fears that have you bound, and one by one, releasing them.
Wow, what a journey you have been on, and what a powerful message for all of us. Yeah. We are unconscious, I think. I think so many people go through life not even realizing that this is what's leading them. This is what is motivating them, is just that they're not wanting to fail and wanting to be perfect. And I talk to my coaching clients a lot about, what if being perfect was just a state of mind? It's what do you see as perfect? And maybe there's no such thing, that it's really, maybe it's 80% of a goal or 70% of a goal. And, I do think that a lot of people don't show up because they're so afraid of failing or not looking perfect. And
there's a piece of our society that really encourages that, that we're to be perfect. And in my opinion, perfectionism will kill you.
Yes.
But excellence will inspire you. And excellence is being your very best self every day. That's all I ever ask of my employees. It's all I can ask of myself, is to bring my very best every single day. To decide whether I want to live a fear-based life or a love-based life. Yes. And people ask me all the time, well, how do I shift from fear-based living to love-based living? And there's a passageway between. And zeroing in on that passageway is the key. In that passageway, in that tunnel, you have to be vulnerable. You have to be authentic. You have to be willing to be less than perfect.
Yes.
But also in the tunnel, in the passageway, is where you accept that you truly are enough. And you always have been.
Wow, what a beautiful message. Wow, we can choose love over fear. But you need to be vulnerable to do that. And self-acceptance is one step in that direction.
Yeah.
And that is your message.
It is. Be authentic, because, the person that we've always been hiding, that we've afraid that people are going to see about us, that imposter syndrome, that you're a fraud, that person we've been covering up, once we let her out, what we discover is that she's actually the badass. Yes. She's the badass person. She is like just a shining light. And that's what people are drawn to. The authentic you, not the made up you, but the real you.
Yes, the real you. And I just love this, because I think that the more we realize how important it is for us to show up as our badass self, our bright light, who we're meant to be, then the world, you're going to impact so many people. You're going to inspire so many people to do the same thing. And that is the ripple effect that changes our world.
So much more.
Yes.
I've had a lot of people ask me, Mary, why in this culture, why in the world did you choose the word badass? Because, it's kind of offensive to some, really. I'm just saying.
I'm just saying.
And I'm saying, because for me, a badass person is a strong person, not powerful. That's a different thought process, but a strong person with strength.
Yes.
And so why don't you just say a strong woman with purpose, grace, and grit? I said, well, how much attention did that gain? Or how much attention does this one get? I'm a badass woman. Grace and grit.
It says it all right there. Badass. It gives you the full picture in your mind. Right. And I really salute you for helping us be more badass, because a lot of us do not show up for ourselves, and that's what we need to do. So here, this brings me to the second question, and
Oh,
that
only to the second
we're second
question.
the
Sorry.
question because you answered the first one so well, and there's so many beautiful lessons in what you just told us, and I hope that we can all take away and something and start doing that today when we hear this
Today.
interview. And we'll do that at the end. But the second question is, if you chose courage, is there something that you would do if you chose courage over fear or doubt that you haven't done already?
Mm,
This is being vulnerable because it's kind of putting it out there.
yeah. You know, having done Kilimanjaro at age 65, for me, that was like a goal I had set for myself at age 60 to prepare, to train, to get ready. And I could say to myself, well, that's that.
Yeah, but that's not you, is it? Yeah. And most people go, you
And
can rest now. You can do whatever you want. Yeah.
so I have set a new goal to live to be 105.
105.
And I'm going
Congratulations.
to be a contributing member of society until I'm 104 and 9 months. I need 3 months for my family to be able to say goodbye to me. Okay? But in order to do that, even at my age, now I have to be setting new goals. So my goals for this year are I'm going to learn to play pickleball.
Okay.
I bought a little tennis outfit, and I'm actually going to learn how to use my clubs.
Love it.
And I'm preparing to go to Annapurna Sanctuary in the Himalayas next March or April. I have to decide which month, depending on what's happening with COVID.
Yes.
But to set that goal and to be out working physically, can you imagine what that is for someone like myself? I'm right now 140 pounds. I lost 140 pounds. I had another person here.
Wow.
For this, it took me 6 years to lose it. It took me 50 to gain it, so 6 years was not bad.
No, not bad at
I had
all.
another
No.
person here. And for that person to be able to set a goal like that at my age is something that inspires me. It keeps me moving.
Yes.
What I've discovered is that it also inspires others.
Yes.
It's never too late. And that, trust me, Terry, nothing is impossible.
Nothing is impossible, and you are living proof of that. And I am so inspired by you, and I know you're going to reach that 105 mark. And you are inspiring everyone that's listening to us right now. It's never too late. Choose love over fear, and be vulnerable, and that's the bridge. And know that everything's inside of you already. What else do you want to tell our audience before we have to wrap up? I could talk to you for another couple hours, and I'd love to have you back.
Yeah. So
because
one thing I would encourage is
Yes.
that you spend time in meditation, that we have our gut feeling. And sometimes our gut feeling is right, but it's still a gut feeling. And then we have our thinker feeling, where we think through the rational part of it. And that's sometimes too logical. It doesn't allow, but in meditation, we can do what's meant to happen.
Mm-hmm.
We were born with all the answers inside of us. And when we can combine this and this, the heart and the mind together are where all the answers that you ever seek are living.
So
quiet
beautiful.
your mind and listen to your heart and mind speak together. That's why your mind is full of heart cells, and your brain and your heart is full of brain cells.
Yes.
They share the same DNA, so much of it.
Yes.
They're meant to work together. And that's
Beautiful.
my hope and prayer for everybody out there, that they find this, all the answers they've ever wanted, living right here in their inner light, or they're badass.
I love this. So beautiful. So beautiful. And I really appreciate your wisdom. And I know that we're taking a lot away from everything that you've learned in your life and now sharing with all of us. And you are a true example. You don't just speak it, you do it. You are it. And so thank you so much. I can't wait to have you back. And
Terry, you're the light.
thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate our time. Have a
Thank
wonderful
you.
rest of your day. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.